Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Fantasy Football. My name is Scott Morganroth, host of Badmouth. And my co-host Alex Fleming and Ryan Skolrud. Good evening, fellas.
Good evening.
Hello.
And we're back in the house. Well, we got a lot of ground to cover tonight, but first and foremost, I do want to pay my respects to my mother, Shila Morganroth, who passed away last Saturday during Thanksgiving weekend. She had a tough battle with COPD. I had the good fortune of doing the eulogy yesterday and also wrote a tribute to my mother that can be found on southfloridatribune.com. I talk about the 15 best memories I had with my mom. There were certainly a lot more, but I limited to those. So, it's really been a very overwhelming week for my family. But we knew that it was coming. It wouldn't matter if, it was a matter of when. Now, on a more positive note, tonight marks the 52nd birthday for my lovely wife, Candace Morganroth. Now, I want to talk about an anniversary, okay? The anniversary of the Hail Mary that Aaron Rodgers went deep against the Detroit Lions, and the Packers win it. And I don't know why I was telling my colleague George Eichorn when we were covering the game, I had a feeling that the Lions, something didn't feel right about this football game. The Lions committed costly penalties on the back end. I said, George, I have a bad feeling about this game. And Aaron Rodgers gave me a good feeling. Get that out, guys. Okay. To win the football game. And Andrew was probably one of the only happy people in Ford Field, although there were a few of the Packer fans that showed up. So from a tough loss by my mother, following to a tough loss by the Lions 5 years ago, to a nice win by Candy. Ryan, take over.
All right. Well, let's get into the news for the day. There's a couple of things we'll kind of go over backwards and add to the end of this. But starting off, DeAndre Swift is still in concussion protocol. He, I believe it was Adrian Peterson himself who actually said that Swift has not been the same, not been dealt with concussion. So I think he's definitely going to be missing this next week. I don't see him being ready to go. So I think we're still going to get the combination of Adrian Peterson and Kerryon Johnson for the Lions. Moving on to Daniel Jones, he did not practice today. This is kind of going in line with what a lot of people have kind of figured with this injury. They figured it would be at least a week or two before he was going to be actually ready to play. So it looks like it's going to be Colt McCoy playing for QBing for the New York Giants in Seattle against the Seahawks with that improving defense. So it'll be interesting to see how that game goes for the Giants. Speaking of Seattle, Josh Gordon was officially he was reinstated today. Alex Fleming is throwing up his hands in chair. He is eligible to play in Week 16, so he is not actually playing or practicing for the next couple weeks. He's allowed to be in on the grounds, working with the trainers, attend team meetings. However, he cannot actually practice on the field with the rest of the team until after the Week 15 game. So, but he will be back for Week 16. We still do not know if Lamar Jackson will be able to play Week 13. So we're just kind of in a holding pattern with that on whether it's going to be RG3 again, or little Trace McSorley who threw himself in there a little bit, seemed to actually make Hollywood Brown relevant in the passing and receiving game with Trace McSorley in there. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire was held out of practice with an illness today. This shouldn't affect him moving forward for this next week. Even if it does, Le'Veon Bell has been okay in this offense, but hasn't been great, hasn't been stellar. Julio Jones was downgraded to did not practice Thursday, so we're going back to a lineup in most likely of a lineup in the wide receiver core of Calvin Ridley with Russell Gage and was that Olamide Zacchaeus most likely is your 3 wide receivers there if Julio Jones cannot suit up on Sunday. According to Mike Tomlin, there is no timeline to return for either James Conner or Pouncey for Pittsburgh. So looks like they're going with backups, most likely Benny Snell in terms of the running back, probably leading that running back core. And I can't remember. They're looking like they're going to be using their backup center as well. Texans open the 20-day window to activate David Johnson from IR. So hopefully he will be back. I believe he was put on IR with a concussion and should hopefully be back soon. Mike Glennon will get another start for the Jags, leaving Minshew on the bench still. And last but not least, the big news from a couple days ago with Mr. Will Fuller getting a 6-game suspension, which means not only is he missing the last 5 weeks of the season this week, he also is going to miss the first week of next season. So that should be interesting with him basically going into free agency after this year. Looks like he's probably played his last snap with the Houston Texans, and so it'll be interesting to see where he goes and what kind of effect even one missing one game at the beginning of next year will do. I do have to throw a little humor in here. I think the biggest thing that the most common comment that I've seen about Will Fuller's suspension is, we should have known because he didn't get injured this year. Of course he was taking PEDs. He never tore his hammy. So he stayed healthy the entire season. So obviously he was on something. So those are my headlines and most of the big news stories for going into this next week.
Let me go over a couple of points first. And these are going to be directed toward you, Alex, more so than anything else. What are your thoughts about Josh Gordon playing for Seattle, knowing full well that the NFL will look critical to get receivers in a COVID-19 year?
Seattle is getting healthy at the right time. You remember when Seattle's defense was straight trash? Then they picked up Jamal Adams. Then they picked up Snacks Harrison. Then they picked up Carlos Dunlap. And Bruce Irving came back from his injury. Now, all of a sudden, they're looking like a middle-of-the-pack defense. Middle-of-the-pack defense with one of the top-scoring offenses. Seattle's dangerous.
Second question. We're in Jacksonville. So Mike Glennon, okay? Obviously, he's getting another start this year. What are your thoughts about Mike Glennon, but not only finishing out the year at Jacksonville, but potentially coming back next year if he continues to have impressive performance? Loaded question.
Let's call this what this is.
Okay.
Jacksonville is trying their damnedest to make sure that they get that number 2 seed so that way they can get Justin Fields, or if the Jets mess it up, because the Jets have been known to mess things up, Sunshine, a.k.a. Fabio. All right? There's no one fooling each other here. The offensive line's been retooled. James Robinson is one of the best running backs in the league this year, and no one knew about him because he was a 7th-round draft pick out of Illinois State. You have weapons in – he went undrafted. You have weapons in DJ Shark, Keenan Cole, and Colin Johnson. You have plenty of wide receivers. A healthy Tyler Eifert, James O'Shaughnessy when he comes back. This is set up for a quarterback to lead this team. They need some help on defense. But if you win a game, you lose your seeding. How do you prevent from winning a game? You make sure that Chris Conley and DJ Shark don't play. You play a quarterback carousel to make sure that you never have pure consistency. You take chances that are a little bit questionable in the game, which leads you short 1 or 2 points, a la Cleveland Browns. They're not messing this up, and they're doing it gracefully.
All right. With that said, David Caldwell got fired. What's your thought about that?
Dave Caldwell deserved to get fired. Dave Caldwell is the reason why Jalen Ramsey is still not a Jacksonville Jaguar. Did you see how he shut down DK Metcalf? Isn't he DK Metcalf's half his size? Is the Los Angeles Rams in the playoff hunt? Why? He's a shutdown corner. You don't get many of those in the NFL. When you let them go because you want to be petty and not pay people, you deserve to lose your job. Church, Boye, Campbell, Ngakoue, and Ramsey are all gone off of that defense. Telvin Smith has gone off of his own reasons, but he didn't get a contract extension. Why? Mr. Caldwell. Hell, I think he might have hacked my computer because I can't even go inside my damn emails. He needed to go. His time has expired, and there's going to be a lot of people who will be getting pink slips in Jacksonville, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you mean, and you know exactly where I'm going. My question to you, Mr. Fleming, is Doug Marrone. Will he get one of those pink slips, knowing that he's had a thankless job all year dealing with a roster which is depleted by the moves that Mr. Caldwell made?
It hurts me to say this because Doug Marrone is a good man. Yeah. He is a good man. I can't say he is a good coach. Ever since Coughlin left, a little bit of his light has started to dim. You can see how his coaching tree was questionable after Tom Coughlin and his old school ways left the building. A lot of people like playing for Doug Marrone. He stands up for his players, and he's a no-nonsense, shoot-to-the-hip type of guy. And I respect that, especially out of NFL coaches because he's always available. However, you need W's to keep your job in the NFL. And Jacksonville has been one of the worst teams the last 3 years. Who's been the coach? Doug Marrone.
Yeah, and I've worked with Doug. He's a really class act. He really is. He does give you an answer. He's very respectful of it. So I've never had a problem with Doug Marrone. For that matter, when I worked with Gus Bradley, I had no problem with him. The only problem, like you say, Alex, they didn't have enough W's in their pocket to save their backside. So, all right, well, you guys ready to talk about some football games?
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's talk some football.
Absolutely, and I'm glad we're not under pressure tonight here on Thursday with no Thursday night game. It made me feel a whole lot. Made my life on social media a little bit easier so I could spend time with my dad eating Chinese food. And the craziest part about the Chinese joint is they forgot our 3 egg rolls. Go figure. Won't mention the name. But I was looking for those egg rolls and I hadn't had them in a year. My mom didn't care for carbs and all that stuff, but guess what? She wasn't going to say anything about it tonight. So. But anyways, the Detroit Lions 4-7 against the Chicago Bears. As we will tell you right now, I don't know if I'll remember my mother's death as the day that Matt Patricia got fired, but they did have it on the same day. But Darrell Bevell takes over as new coach of the Detroit Lions. I would say it's an audition for Darrell Bevell, and usually when new coaches take over, they get some instant gratification. So, who you got? I've seen it's funny. I've always enjoyed my time in Chicago, in the Lions and the Bears, especially during these colder months. But I'm going to give you this prediction first. I'm going with the Lions and Darrell Bevell. I think Darrell Bevell has a chance to get the job full time if he can. If the Lions play fairly well with him. And I predicted to my wife that if they get rid of Patricia, who are you going to get? I told her Darrell Bevell will be your next coach, and he's been aching to get a head job, and now he's going to make the most of it. I remember many years ago, Wayne Fontes took over for Darryl Rogers. How'd that work out? Okay. Wayne Fontes has had more wins than any Lions coach in their history, even though he's a game under 500. I think the same thing happens here. Darrell Bevell has a good chance to get the job depending on how things shake out with the new general manager. I'm going Lions. Who wants to take over?
Go ahead, Alex.
The Detroit Lions are not the Green Bay Packers. Let me say that as respectfully as possible. The Detroit Lions are not the Green Bay Packers. Matt Stafford will never be Aaron Rodgers. Devontae Adams is 2 to 3 times better than Kenny Galladay. Shout out to Southside Chicago. And I'm a big fan of Galladay. Adrian Peterson is not the old Adrian Peterson. He's not running through defenses and mowing down people anymore. They're going to miss DeAndre Swift. Kerryon Johnson is one concussion away from probably finding a new job. TJ Hawkinson wants none of that smoke from Roquan Smith. Khalil Mack loves eating up this Detroit Lions offense. The Chicago Bears have a Ferrari defense. They just have a Pinto offense. Look for Matt Nagy to try to save his job and get this ship right after starting 5-1 and now 5-6, getting back in the playoff hunt by beating down those Detroit Kitty Cats. I have Chicago all the way.
Hey, Ryan, before you get your predictions, have you ever heard of the Ford Pinto?
Yes, I
Okay.
have.
Had to make sure. Okay. I didn't know if the generation gap.
I am old enough to know that one. So
Okay, no problem. So I should put Ford Pinto down as one of our. Go ahead, take over there, buddy. I had to throw that your way.
I got to go with Alex on this one. I can't go against the Bears at home with that defense against the Lions. For just offense that is so banged up. I mean, their best weapons haven't been available. And being a guy from Seattle who knows Darrell Bevell, him being the offensive coordinator in Seattle for many years, I know that he wants to speed up the offense. I think it could provide a little bit of a spark. I just don't think it's going to provide enough against the Bears defense that's trying to keep this team from falling apart. So I've got to go with the Lions. I got to go with the Bears in this one, taking down the Lions offense.
Well, I like that first pick better, but that's okay, Mr. Ford Pinto. I care what they're talking. And since Alex talked so gracefully about the Green Bay Packers, guess what? We're going to segue to those Green Bay Packers. How about that? Philadelphia Eagles 3-7-1. Green Bay Packers 8-3. As I painfully mentioned earlier at the top of the broadcast 5 years ago, and the Hail Mary where Lions fans are saying, hell no. So, all right, Alex, lead off with this one.
Bench Carson Wentz, bro. He's been sacked 46 times. He leads the league in interceptions. He looks awful. His footwork is bad. The offensive line has given up on him. What is Miles Sanders and Boston Scott there for if he's not going to hand the ball off so they can run? That garbage last-second Hail Mary touchdown cost somebody $500,000. So now he's not even letting DraftKings win. He is detrimental to his own team. And now you're facing Aaron Rodgers and a guy who loves rolling out of the pocket, has 10 touchdowns rolling out of the pocket, is in the MVP race, is very good statistically when it comes to completion percentage, has a better offensive line, and a defense that can shut down anything that Philadelphia has. Alshon Jeffrey has one catch this year. That came from Jalen Hurts. Have you seen Deshaun Jackson? Is he still hurt? Yeah, I thought so. Greg Ward was early this season. He hasn't been mentioned. Travis Fulgham had 3 hot weeks, and now he's dumpable in fantasy in every way, shape, and form. I have Green Bay.
Go ahead,
Ryan. I can't really add anything after watching just what the struggling Seattle defense was able to do to the Philadelphia offense. I can't disagree. And the firepower that Green Bay has. Now, this Philly defense is pretty solid. Not great, but pretty solid with how they were able to keep Seattle in check for the most part. That being said, I don't think that I think that there's enough firepower in this Green Bay offense, even if it's just Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Honestly, that should be enough. Because we saw what DK did to Darius Slay for, was it 10 catches, 177 yards this last week. So I can't not go with Green Bay against a Philadelphia team that's just plain falling apart.
Well, I'll make it unanimous. Go with the Green Bay Packers. Heck, Aaron Rodgers could throw to a bunch of high school receivers and he'd still look pretty good. But don't discount Mercedes Lewis, either, the former Jacksonville Jaguar, who impressed me a great deal. And, I got news for you. Aaron Rodgers, to me, his second year in the Matt LaFleur system, and he's going to get better. I know I had him on my fantasy team with the family last year and didn't get the productivity out of him. But, anytime you have a quarterback that's in the second year of a system, there's going to be a lot more chemistry. Don't worry, Jordan Love will be sitting on the bench for quite a while until Rodgers is ready to relinquish the role. But Mercedes Lewis, and I tell you what, Aaron Rodgers is smart, and whether they use the tight ends, okay, Devontae Adams, they added Tavon Austin too. What are your thoughts, guys, on whether Tavon Austin's going to be worth anything down the stretch?
Not for fantasy. I think he's always been a gadget player. They have enough. I think they have enough depth in that wide receiver core. Tavon Austin, if anything, may be kind of that kind of like a Ty Montgomery type, but I think it only in extreme circumstances. I think that's he might get a little bit of work.
Okay, fair enough. All right, New Orleans Saints 9-2 against the Atlanta Falcons 4-7. Raheem Morris is looking to win that interim permanent job, and he didn't do anything to hurt his chances when they clobbered the Raiders over the weekend. Was it like 43-6? I think something like that. That was big.
Yeah, it was ugly.
Yeah, it was. So, but not for Raheem Morris. It was pretty. And if you go out there and have Arthur Blank as your owner, they won't need to interview a minority candidate when you've got one right on the sidelines doing some pretty good stuff. All right, Alex, you're chomping at the bit. Go ahead, bite on this one.
Saints defense is the reason why the Saints will win this game. Atlanta will put up more points. They will put up a better effort. They will score more than 9 points, but here's the problem. They can get into a shootout with New Orleans because New Orleans wants that smoke. Taysom Hill is not a real quarterback. As you've seen the last couple of weeks, he hasn't thrown a touchdown pass, but he's ran for quite a few touchdowns. Okay. Quarterbacks roll the ball. As you can see, Mr. Payton is just stalling for time. That defense is erratic. They're game busters, and they can bust plays open. When you give up less than 284.9 yards a game, you can say and do and have whatever swagger you want. Their defense is going to be the difference in this. However, Todd Gurley and Julio Jones should be back for this. So expect a fight this time instead of somebody laying down and calling themselves Susan. I still have the Saints.
For me, I'm picking the Saints, but hope the Atlanta Falcons win to bring Seattle on a tie in record against the New Orleans Saints. That being said, the Saints defense is. That being said, the Saints defense is very, very good. Atlanta can bring the firepower. They don't have a defense that can stop anyone. Except for the Raiders, apparently. It's the one team they can really stop. I'd have to say that I did mention that Julio Jones was downgraded to did not practice today because of his hamstring, so we'll have to kind of wait and see how that goes for Sunday. Hopefully he'll be back for it because really the Falcons are going to need all their firepower if they're going to have a shot against New Orleans. But I really do think that the Saints win this. I did have one question, Alex. What is your opinion in terms of the fantasy relevance for Alvin Kamara as long as Taysom Hill is the quarterback? Because this is 2 weeks in a row that Taysom Hill has taken two touchdowns 2 weeks in a row, short yardage from Alvin Kamara at the goal line, and has really, really hurt his fantasy prospects. I mean, I've even seen in a couple of fantasy groups where people are considering sitting Alvin Kamara as long as Taysom Hill is the quarterback.
You are absolutely 1,000% right. Taysom Hill is vulturing all of the scores from Alvin Kamara. He is taking away from Kamara's shine. Latavius Murray has benefited more from Taysom Hill starting as quarterback than Alvin Kamara. Guys, Alvin Kamara is a top running back, and Taysom Hill is treating him like a redheaded stepchild. I don't know if you're old enough for Dirty Dancing, but if you are old enough, Alvin Kamara is baby in the corner. We need to stop this. Someone please let Taysom Hill know that this cannot go on if you plan on winning and keeping that first round bye. You have to level expectations for Alvin Kamara as long as Taysom Hill is the starting quarterback. The problem with that is Drew Brees is not coming back in the regular season. Deal with it, accept it as a part of your destiny. And until Taysom Hill actually stinks up the joint, you won't see Jameis Winston. So if I'm a Kamara owner, unless it's a matchup that can't be beat, I'm not playing him. Atlanta, coin flip, but you get what you deserve if you play him. Next week, I'm playing him. Taysom Hill doesn't know how to throw, and it's an easy and juicy matchup.
This week, one thing to say against Atlanta, Atlanta actually does, because of how much they give up in the passing game, Atlanta actually does give up almost 10 points above average to players per week. So whatever a player's average points scored per week is for running backs, Atlanta gives up an average of 10 points above that. So again, or 10 points below that. So that's already a little bit of a negative against Alvin Kamara there. So.
All right, well, I'll just say this. The closer the score gets in this football game, from Raheem Morris' standpoint, better chance he has to retain the job if it's competitive. Because he'll be facing an elite football team. And obviously he's a favorite to get to the Super Bowl, I can say that. But that said, I'm intrigued at Taysom Hill's mobility. You kind of wonder where Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders fit into this whole program. But New Orleans right now, they're still looking pretty good. So I'm going to give the edge to the Saints on this one as well. But as I just alluded to, though, if Raheem Morris's team plays with heart and they keep it competitive, knowing the type of owner that Arthur Blank is, I still think he has a heck of a chance to be able to earn a full-time job. And as I mentioned before, you won't have to interview a minority candidate if you hire the minority candidate. So, fair enough? New Orleans. All right. I hate to say games of the week because games of the week always disappoint. But Alex has first hand in this one. Cleveland Browns 8-3 against the Tennessee Titans 8-3. All right, Alex, why don't you lead off with this one?
Revenge game. Who remembers the beginning of the 2019 season when Cleveland was talking all of this trash, saying, we're the team to beat. We just got OBJ. We got Jarvis Landry. We got Nick Chubb. We got the weapons for you. And Tennessee came into their house and ran all over them. Fast forward to 2020, week 13. 8-3 meets 8-3. Both teams need this. Tennessee more than Cleveland, because if Tennessee loses this, now they're a game behind the Colts for that AFC South. Now, they're probably going to play each other anyway as the 4 and the 5 seed. Do you really want to play an AFC South opponent for your first job? No. Tennessee wins this game. They stay number 3 because they've already beat Buffalo. Now, let's flip over to the Cleveland side. They were embarrassed at home against the Tennessee Titans. Nick Chubb is back. Bro, have you seen Kareem Hunt? He's got touchdowns too. They're doing better without OBJ. Baker Mayfield actually threw for 300 yards last week. Yes, it was the Jacksonville Jaguars, but he actually had a good game. And Jarvis Landry scored his first touchdown and his first 100 receiving yard game. Yay! This will be a fight. The question I have, can the Cleveland Brown defense stop Derrick Henry? If they can, they win. Upset special. I got Cleveland.
Well, for a guy that's seen Cleveland firsthand against Jacksonville, let's let you let off with it. All right, Ryan.
I'm actually going with Tennessee. I have picked against Tennessee many times this season when I just didn't think their defense could hold up, and it did. And so whenever I pick against Tennessee, they prove me wrong. So I'm going to go with Tennessee this week against Cleveland. Both defenses are not great. The Cleveland Browns are in the top 10 in terms of giving up fantasy points to the quarterback, top 10 giving them up to the wide receiver, top 5 giving up to the tight end. Tennessee, top 5 giving up fantasy points to the quarterback, top 7 to running backs, top 8 to tight ends, and top 12 to wide receivers. So the Titans give up a ton of points. They just have a very explosive offense to help out when you've got Derrick Henry and then the receiving weapons in Jonnu Smith and A.J. Brown. And even Corey Davis has had quite a season this year, considering what the disappointment that he has been kind of the first part of his career. I think what Corey Davis needed was to be the number 2 wide receiver and actually have a real number 1. And really, I think it's helped him flourish. Plus having a quarterback that can actually get him the ball. So for me, I see the Tennessee Titans having a more consistent offense, and for that reason, I am picking the Titans above Cleveland. Though I think this could be like a 41-37 type game. This is going to be a high-scoring game. I think that the Titans have a little more firepower all around.
Well, I'm going to go Titans as well. Derrick Henry, this guy's unbelievable. One of the best running backs I've seen in a lot of years. Number 2, the game is in Tennessee. And number 3, who had that saying, you have to do it the old-fashioned way and earn it? Was that E.F. Hutton, I think? But anyways, E.F. Hutton and Scott Morganroth say you have to go ahead and do it the old-fashioned way and earn it. And what I mean by that is AFC South. Tennessee, to me, they are an awfully good team. They were on the threshold of winning it, getting the Super Bowl last year. So they ran across a buzzsaw called the Kansas City Chiefs. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Titans as well. So, all right, well, we move on to Arizona. Philly Rams against Arizona Cardinals. I don't know how to go this way because the Cardinals are like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. For me, maybe I should start picking these games with a coin flip, and I know there's a coin flip app on my phone, so which I didn't use to do this. But for all you folks looking for an app, okay, for COVID-19, just load up the coin flip, and you'll be all right. I found that out. I feel like these smartphones are making us lazier by the minute. All right, Ryan, go ahead. The Rams against the Cardinals.
I'm taking the Rams in this one. I understand that the Cardinals, that Kyler Murray is finally getting healthy. He has struggled a little bit the last few weeks dealing with that shoulder injury. He is today, for the first time in a couple of weeks, was fully healthy and not limited at all in practice. That being said, this Rams defense has been absolutely shut down. DeAndre Hopkins has not gotten the attention from Kyler Murray over the last few weeks that many of us believe he still deserves. He's going to have Jalen Ramsey all over him this week, so that could be a fun fight to watch. That being said, I think that the Rams defense has enough firepower to hold off the Arizona Cardinals offense. The Cardinals defense can be very electric, and Jared Goff is not a guy that I'd put a ton of trust in. That being said, I still feel like there's enough for the Rams offense to get past this Arizona Cardinals defense. Basically, I think the Arizona offense is going to ride the coattails of their defense to a win in this one. So I'm picking the Rams over the Cardinals.
Right, Alex.
This is closer than what people think. The NFC West play each other tight. They really, truly do. The mismatch is actually at the wide receiver, corner, safety positions for both teams. Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods have been tearing defenses apart until they match up with corners that meet them physically and speed-wise. Funny enough, that's exactly what Arizona Cardinals have. Flip side, DeAndre Hopkins, Jalen Ramsey, writing on the wall. They're going to be fighting all day. That means other individual matchups are going to come into place. I actually like the receiving core of the Arizona Cardinals, but there's one difference maker in this game that no one's talking about. His name is Aaron Donald. He's a disruptor. He's a problem. Plus, if you look at the playoff seeding, the Rams still have a snowball's chance of winning this division from Seattle. Arizona, they're looking like a dark horse. They're looking like a wild card playoff team at the slimmest of margins. I like the Rams.
Okay. I'm going to go with the Rams as well. They were disappointed by losing to the San Francisco 49ers. And if they want to regain control of this division or at least get a higher seed, they need this game in the worst way. And Aaron Donald, Ramsey, the defense is strong. Jared Goff is a manageable quarterback. I'm going to say he's a real thoroughbred, but standard bred isn't so bad either. And so, but the Rams defense tells me and earns my respect to give them the pick. So, but I think the main reason I'm going with them is they know that they let down against the 49ers. They're not going to let down in this football game, LA Rams. Let's talk about the New England Patriots taking on the LA Chargers. Patriots going to the contest 5-6, LA Chargers 3-8. And New England with a win could be 6-6. The weather will not be a factor in this football game since it's in SoFi Stadium. All right, Alex, I'll let you lead off again.
For some odd reason, don't hate me, some odd reason, I like New England. Here's why. Ball control, coaching, and those damn corners. Keenan Allen has been feasting on corners so far. He had a pretty good game against the Buffalo Bills, and Buffalo has good corners. He wasn't in the play after the Hail Mary that Justin Herbert completed to get to the 1-yard line. Plus, coaching calls matter. Why are you handing the ball off to Austin Eckler, but instead you're trying to run a quarterback sneak with your rookie quarterback with just a couple of seconds left on the clock? That's bad management. Bill doesn't do bad management. Cam Newton has horrible quarterback stats, but excellent rushing touchdown stats. I believe he's number 1 or number 2 when it comes to rushing touchdowns. He has 9. Here's my point. New England's going to control the tempo of this game. Keep Justin Herbert on the sidelines. Punch Austin Eckler in the mouth. Make sure you maintain time of possession. If you can keep it close and the corners can contain this high-powered offense of the Chargers, you can escape SoFi Stadium 6-6 and the number 7 seed in the playoffs. I like New England.
Okay, Ryan.
I'm going with the Chargers in this one. I can't dispute. I'm not going to dispute coaching. I'm not going to dispute ball control for New England. But this defense for New England has not been great. They've been getting better over the last few weeks. But Justin Herbert has been tearing apart just about every defense he's played. If he had started week 1, he would be second in the league in pass yards, right behind Patrick Mahomes. So
he did start week 1.
I think
He did start week
1.
No, he didn't. He started week 2.
Yeah, week 2.
Because week 1 it was Tyrod Taylor. It was week 2 where against the Chiefs, where all of a sudden, Justin Herbert's in. What's going on? So yeah, so he's played 10 of the 11 games so far. So yeah, I've got it. For me, I think that again, I don't have a whole lot of trust in the San Diego defense. Or sorry, I keep calling them San Diego. I don't have trust in the Chargers.
Where everybody falls.
Throw
in.
them all these teams moving around. Stay where you're at.
Or drive a Ford Pinto to work.
I think for me, I think I'm going with the Chargers offense and their ability to score.
Well, Alan, I ain't gonna hate you. I'm gonna like you for this because I'm going with the New England Patriots too. Bill Belichick is 6-6. Anthony Lynn's job on the line because I believe it really is on the line. Justin Herbert's put up some good numbers, and I think Chargers management could be thankful that they drafted Herbert, but they didn't get as much mileage out of him as they thought they could get. And anytime you have a coach that has a lot of close games, but you're on the wrong end of it, then that tends to come into question as well. So to not drag this out too long, I have a gut feeling that Bill Belichick has LA on his mind, and he's going to be walking out with a 500 record, 6 up, 6 down, knowing that there's a distinct possibility that they could get into the playoffs. So I'm going to go with the Patriots too, Alex. I'm with you. All right, Monday night, Buffalo Bills, San Francisco 49ers in Arizona. My goodness, you don't allow combat sports in Santa Clara? No problem. You might as well go ahead and play them in the desert, place that I'm all too familiar with because I used to live there. Okay, let you guys have a coin toss as to who wants to take this one first.
I'll go ahead and go first on this one. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills. I know that the 49ers defense has been stepping up a little bit lately. They've gotten a few guys back healthy. I'm more going with the offense for the Bills. Comparing the offenses, I think the Bills' offense is more explosive. The 49ers have still had some trouble on the offense a little bit. Again, for me, I'm going Buffalo, also because partially I hate the 49ers. So little bias in that pick, but yeah, I got to go with the Buffalo Bills.
You think? Yeah, you're in the Pacific Northwest. By the way, Seattle's your team. Yeah, I can see why there's a little bit of homerism there, but that's all right. I kind of suspected that you would pick Buffalo in this football game, and don't kid yourself. Buffalo played a pretty good game against the Cardinals out west, but came up short a little bit at the end. All right, Alex, look at the man with those raised glasses. I see him. Okay, you can't disguise that look for me. Who is the old detective there that you pride yourself around?
Who loves you, baby?
This guy.
The Buffalo Bills don't get the respect that they deserve. The Buffalo Bills are 8-3. The Buffalo Bills are returning back to the scene of the crime where DeAndre Hopkins stole a victory from them. The Buffalo Bills could have been 4-0 against the best division in football. You saw how they took out Seattle. You saw how they beat the Rams. And now they're going to beat up on the San Francisco 49ers, who are just now getting healthy. Look for A.J. Espinoza, Mario Addison, and Tremaine Savage Edmonds to give a pass rush to Nick Mullins to make him feel a little bit special because he's going to get touched quite a bit. Raheem Mostert is not healthy. It doesn't matter. Buffalo likes to shut down the run. Oh, and Debo, that bully on the block, look for Tre'Davious White to shadow him all evening. Now, let's switch over to the offense. Motor finally got his motor running. Zach Moss is their goal line and short down back. And Stephen Ness looks to get back his number one spot as the top receiver in the AFC because it took a Herculean effort from Tyreek Hill and his 269 yards to have 100 yards more than Stephen Ness. No one throws the ball more than the Buffalo Bills. Look for Josh Allen to prove his point and exercise those demons that happened in State Farm against the Arizona Cardinals. Buffalo.
Boy, Alex, I must have brain damage. I keep agreeing with you, but that's okay. It could be a whole lot worse. At any rate, you're right. I don't see Buffalo leaving the desert with an 0-2 mark. I don't see it at all. No way. But that said, okay, when I look at the Buffalo Bills, a victory in this football game means they're a step closer to getting at least a home game up in Western New York. And once you get later into the postseason, you want the weather to work to your favor. I have a feeling that Pittsburgh and Kansas City will get the majority of them, but hey, why not get a cold weather game during the postseason if you can definitely get it? So I don't know. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills to walk into Arizona and get a W out of it. All right, our last football game of the night. The Dallas Cowboys 3 up, 8 down. Baltimore Ravens are reeling at 6-5. So, and guess what? The Baltimore Ravens finally did play the Pittsburgh Steelers. It only took 3 times to get it right. So, well, I'm just wondering from you guys, what were your thoughts about RG3's performance?
Basura.
Translate.
Garbage.
Good enough.
Yeah, they still don't have a pass game. Like I said, it took Trace McSorley to finally get Hollywood Brown to have a decent fantasy game. So,
all right, let's go on to the prediction.
You start this, Knox.
Last time I checked, Baltimore signed this guy by the name of Dez Bryant. Dez Bryant started his career as a Dallas Cowboy. El Freaky should be back for this game. They're a fringe playoff contender. But here's the funny thing. If they can get healthy, and since the game was moved not once, not twice, but 3 times to benefit the Baltimore Ravens for ticket sales and jersey merchandise, of course, Baltimore's schedules line up to win out all the way. Their only tough game remaining will be against the Cleveland Browns. Dallas's defense is poo-poo, and I'm saying that nicely. Their offense is stagnant. Ezekiel Elliott probably ate himself into fantasy irrelevance. Baltimore can still run the football. J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram will be back. And if Lamar Jackson gets his security blanket back in Mark Andrews, that's more than enough passing attack that he'll have between him, Hollywood, and Dez Bryant. When was the last time Dallas beat anybody good? Exactly. I got Baltimore.
All right. Alex gave you enough information. You should make your job easier.
Baltimore.
Okay.
As long as the Baltimore Ravens offense can stand up and walk forward, they'll beat this defense, or they'll beat the Cowboys defense. That's really all it takes. So I'm not too worried about this game. I really think that Baltimore, I really think that even RG3 could beat Dallas with how bad their defense is.
Ooh, disrespectful.
Tell me how you really feel, Alex. Ooh. Well, look at it this way. Mike McCarthy throws the ball 66% of the time, doesn't leave much room for a running back. By the way, Ezekiel Elliott, I know you were talking about Baltimore Ravens against the Cleveland Browns. Let me preface that since everybody likes to have bad geography. We all know it should have been the Baltimore Browns until the NFL went out there and reworked that bad boy. But nevertheless, I can tell you right now, I have no problem with the Ravens 6-5 over the Cowboys 3-8 because you know what? You're right, Alex. They have a pretty light schedule at the end of the year. And anytime you're in a division with the Pittsburgh Steelers, it is what it is. Excuse me, folks. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to go with the Baltimore Ravens there. And you know what? I think RG3 could have a good game in this because the Dallas Cowboys can't stop anybody. All right, Alex raising his hand. Very nice and courteous, by the way.
I believe we have an upset among us. There is no such thing as an undefeated team in the NFL. You can ask New England Patriots about that when it came to the Super Bowl. The Washington football team has been off since Thanksgiving. They ran the ball down Dallas's throat, and Dallas almost got the Pittsburgh Steelers. A second and third string Baltimore Ravens squad gave Pittsburgh all they can handle. And losing Bud Dupree is going to hurt when it comes to the pass rush because he was the yin to the yang to TJ Watt. Upset special. Washington takes out Pittsburgh.
Okay, I didn't mention that, but okay. But you've already predicted the Baltimore Ravens over the Cowboys. Washington against Pittsburgh? No, I'm going with the Steelers undefeated there. Till they lose, I'm picking them. At least they're the only thing consistent up to this point outside of Kansas City. Okay, but that's good. Glad you added that one. There was a little tug of war here, Ryan, between Alex and I about this one.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to look at. There we go. Pulling up the rest of the Pittsburgh schedule. I mean, I don't think they'll go undefeated. I think they have a couple. I can see Washington winning this one. I can see it. This one's. I think this goes more of a coin flip for me. I mean, because I can also see the Steelers losing to Buffalo, possibly to Indianapolis.
Buffalo, yes. Indy, no.
So yeah, I can see it. I'm still going with the Steelers, but wouldn't be surprised if Washington wins. So,
well, I mean, Washington's playing well. Alex Smith is doing pretty well. For a guy that got busted up and performing, he's a comeback story of the year. I did not at least give the Washington football a puncher's chance anyways. But I don't see it against the Steelers. But in Alex Smith, he's given the Washington football team a little bit of hope. So who knows?
The key won't be Alex Smith. The key will be that front seven of the defense for the Washington football team.
correct.
They have 36 sacks this year, sir. Bud Dupree accounted for 8 sacks for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now you take that away. Washington's front seven is now better than Pittsburgh's front seven. Number 2, Antonio Gibson, 115 yards, 3 touchdowns. They're starting to figure out how to use him. He's a poor man's Christian McCaffrey. How do you attack the Pittsburgh Steelers? You have to be able to run the football. Look at the Dallas Cowboy game, Ezekiel Elliott. Look at the first Baltimore Ravens game. They gave up 265 yards rushing. Look for Ron Rivera to have a game plan. J.D. McKissick and Antonio Gibson are going to eat on Monday. Don't be shocked.
All right, folks, we'll leave it with Alex's thoughts, and if indeed he is right about it, we will be talking about this game as a review next week, so that way Alex can go out there and pull out his pom-poms and cheer himself out for making the upset of the week, knocking off an undefeated team. So, all right, well, with that said, folks, I just want to reiterate that this broadcast is a very emotional one for me. My mother, Shila Morganroth, passed away due to COPD. Tough, courageous fight. I was thankful here to come back to the Motor City to spend time with her during the last 5 days that I was able to see her. She passed away in my hand, my dad on the other side, me on the other. Mom, all I can tell you is I love you very much, and I was really proud to be able to do a eulogy on your behalf and try to put every ounce of energy that I could to let people know what a tremendous, one-of-a-kind individual you were. And so I'm dedicating this fantasy broadcast to my mother, Shila Morganroth. I love you very much. Thanks for believing in me. So with that said, Alex, why don't you lead off to let people know how they can go ahead and get a hold of you.
ALXFLMNG, Alex Fleming, Twitter, no vowels. The Florida Sun, Central Florida's oldest living newspaper. My recent article, Tampa falls to Kansas City. They got me looking high in the picture. I don't know why. It is what it is. The Sports Arena, Mondays, we go live. Jake Rongholt, Ruth the Truth Carrigas, Michael Carrigtanudo, and Eric Wilson. We speak to you like we're speaking in the bar, and we talk sports. The Carousel, either you're on or you're off. Hit me up at Carousel NFL on Twitter if you want to be a guest on the show. I take people from across the globe, and I have people who represent their teams, and they get to talk NFL, who's hot, who's not, and the trends that are going on. I have a Detroit representative who's happy that Chuck E. Cheese, aka Fat Matt, is actually out of the building. Last but not least, you can catch me on different podcasts, whether that be Mark Moses' show, Chris Pirtle, Skull King Sports, and other avenues. I'm a pretty boring guy. Oh, and I am also a Jacksonville Jaguars reporter for home games. So yeah, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. You should not listen to one word I say. I'm just here for the free chips.
No problem. Sports and the Motor City Madhouse, my partner Ryan Skolrud, for sure on this fantasy podcast. And incidentally, Jake Ronholt, I've worked with him in the past. He's certainly one dynamite, talented young guy. So I'm impressed that you're connected with him. And I've had him on numerous broadcasts in the past before he moved up to the New York area doing what he does. So he's a nice young guy. I actually met him in person in Orlando. Ryan, take over.
All right. Well, you can get a hold of me on SkullKingSports.com. We're actually in the process of doing some renovating to the website. So every once in a while, there may be a couple glitchy things on there. We're in the process of doing a big upgrade with that. But again, you can find us on Skull King Sports, covering just about every sport we can find for right now, or at least every sport that we can find someone to write on. We also you can also find us across multiple pages and groups on Facebook. Just look up Skull King, SKULLKING, Skull King Sports, and you'll find all sorts of pages and groups. We're getting close to adding more of those as we go. So check us out there on Facebook. You can also find us on Twitter at Skull King Sports. You can find us on Instagram, Skull King Sports. You can follow me on Twitter personally at Ryan Skolrud. You can also catch my podcast, the Skull King Sports Fantasy Football Podcast, on any major podcasting platform you can find.
Guess that leaves me. Anyways, my name is Scott Morganroth of Motor City Madhouse. The way to reach us on Twitter at Tribune South. That's at Tribune South. You want to reach us on Facebook and Instagram, you can follow us, South Florida Tribune. We have a YouTube channel, South Florida Tribune. Subscribe. And we have 6 different broadcasts that can be found on it. This one, Sports Exchange, South Florida Tribune Podcast, 186 is baseball, Real and the Rare, just to name a few. One subscribe to you on 6 different broadcasts. If you want to hear the audio version of this broadcast, you can do so on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Spotify. www.southfloridatribune.com. So if you want to go ahead and look at our media distribution partners, those are columnists, and of course these broadcasts appear on there as well. And last but not least, okay, if you want to contact us, feel free to do so at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. So one story that's on our front page right now is a tribute to Shila Morganroth. She's on the front page. I want to make sure that everybody's looking for a one-of-a-kind woman. She's certainly one of them. So, guys, nice job. We'll certainly be back in Florida when we do this broadcast again next week. And hopefully I'll have some good news for you, Alex. And I'm going to try to get back to Jacksonville. Although we are leaving on Sunday, we don't figure to get back in South Florida probably until late Wednesday night. So good job, guys. Glad to have you on every week. Enjoyed our studio, enjoyed our temporary spot here at the Extended Stay America here in Farmington Hills. They have treated us really, really well. And most importantly, it has been fairly close to my parents. So guys, pleasure to have you on. And, you know, I think that I couldn't be more fortunate to have 2 finer co-hosts than I have right here tonight. So on behalf of Alex Fleming and Ryan Skolrud, my name is Scott Morganroth of Motor City Madhouse. Thank you for joining us here on Fantasy Football. And we'll make sure whether or not Alex is going to be giving us some pom-poms after the Washington against Pittsburgh. I guess I have a reason to take more notice of this because Mr. Alex decided to go on a limb. You know what, Alex? Why don't you give the COVID message, please?
Wash your damn hands. Wearing a mask means you care about somebody else besides yourself. Children are our future, and disease travels. 254,000 people have died to COVID-19. So if you want to think it's a hoax or a prank, don't be part of those numbers. Do what's right. If not by yourself, by your family and loved ones. Wash your damn hands.
You heard it from Big A. So from Big A, Big R, Motor City Madmouth, you have it. So we will thank you for joining us once again on Fantasy Football with Ryan Skolrud, Alex Fleming, and myself, Motor City Madmouth. And we will catch you the next time. God bless everybody, and hope you have a great holiday season. We look forward to doing it better next week. We aim for perfection, and as the Raiders would say, we what is it? For excellence, right? Commitment to excellence. That's what our goal is. So, good night, everybody, from Scott and Alex and Ryan.